Good afternoon, everyone. It looks like it's straight up 1:30. We'll go ahead and go through our safety topic just to give folks a few more minutes to jump on if they're having trouble getting connected to Zoom. Thank you for adapting and jumping from Teams to Zooms to help us with this presentation today. First things first, like I said, we need to take a safety moment. I'm going to piggyback from Angela York's We Network's president on motorcycle safety for motorists and things to look out for with the nicer weather coming on. There's going to be more and more bikes around. Some of the top 10 tips were share the road, not the lane. Increase your following distance for flashing turn signals. A minor annoyance to a motorist could be a major hazard to a motorcyclist. Remember that motorcycles react differently, meaning they can stop a whole heck of a lot faster. Look in all directions, especially during left-hand turns. Treat intersections with care. Check your blind spots. Pass with care. Keep weather in mind and help riders stay safe at night. All right, now for our main attraction. Copywriter by day, freelance rock star by night, Julie Cortez has run her own business for more than 20 years. Best known as the founder of the Freelance Exchange of KC, a professional organization for self-employed advertising and marketing professionals. Julie created her own much-needed college-level course, Freelancing 101, and teaches as an adjunct professor at the world-renowned KC Art Institute. Recognized with awards dozens of times over for her work, leadership, volunteerism, and community involvement, she is regularly sought out for media interviews, public speaking, and professional coaching. Julie is loving life, living out her passion, and helping others succeed. Please help me welcome Julie Cortez.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Let's get me to share my screen here. Can you all see that? Perfect. All right, so today we are going to talk about how to find the right mindset for success. I'd have to take a guess that we are probably all very much guilty of this, guilty of waking up every day, wanting to be happy, wanting to be appreciated, wanting to be successful. Whether that's in our personal lives or in our professional lives, we tiptoe our way around things, trying to please others and not being true to our authentic selves. Yet what we don't realize is that in doing so, that ends up taking a toll. It's exhausting. It's not getting us anywhere. And honestly, it's just not very healthy. Think for a moment, wouldn't it be great instead if we could genuinely believe in ourselves? If we could stop worrying about what everybody thinks of us, if we could be bold enough to speak our minds, if we could be comfortable enough in our own skin, if we could own our own differences, and if we could live an honest and authentic life. Newsflash, you can. The trick is you've got to get out of your own head because so much of this has to do with mindset. Being successful in life, in work, whatever the case may be, it all comes from within. And it comes from having the right mindset. And today, it's time to claim that. Hi, I'm Julie Cortez. As Jenny said, I am a copywriter by day, freelance rock star by night. Now, I am no psychologist, psychiatrist, what have you, but I have learned many things along my journey that has helped me garner success in life and in business. I have run my own advertising and marketing copywriting business. Copywriting meaning I write the words, come up with the concepts, write websites, brochures, videos, radio commercials, TV commercials, you name it. I've done that for more than 20 years. I am the founder of a professional trade organization here in Kansas City called the Freelance Exchange that gears itself towards those who are self-employed in advertising and marketing, as well as those who are looking to hire those who are self-employed in advertising and marketing. I did create an entrepreneurship course called Freelancing 101, which I teach as an adjunct professor at the world-renowned Kansas City Art Institute. Just started my 5th year doing that. That has been a ton of fun. And today, really, I live, breathe, teach, speak, and coach on all things freelancing, self-employment, and as you'll see today, all things sheer badassery is what I like to call it. My life, my career path have had all sorts of twists and turns along the way. I like to call them plot twists. But I got to tell you, I'm along for the ride. I am nowhere at all where I thought I would be in life, in my career, yet I am absolutely positively everywhere where I'm supposed to be. And I firmly believe that mindset has a lot to do with that. And now it's your turn. It is your turn to get into the right mindset. It is your turn to also stop caring so much about what other people think. It is your turn to become confident. And it is your turn to up your personal and professional game. So today, what we are going to talk about is all the little things that build up and make a huge difference when it comes to mindset. Things like attitude, fear of failure, embracing what makes you and others unique, your self-belief, as well as finding the confidence to do what you want to do in life and in work. You ready? All right, let's do this. In the meantime, feel free to drop comments, questions, what have you in the chat. I will try and respond to them as best as possible throughout the presentation. Otherwise, I will be sure to get to them at the end. So going forward, in order to increase your chances of finding success, number one, you've got to have the right attitude. This, friends, is how you reclaim your freedom. Because nothing can stop someone who has the right attitude. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by right attitude? Who says what the right attitude is? Well, it's the thing that propels you forward. The right attitude means having a positive outlook on things, being optimistic, being open-minded, being curious, being open to change. So often, it's our own beliefs that get in our own way. And yet, attitude is everything. We have to conquer those self-limiting beliefs. We have to change our perspectives. We have to realize that at the very core of self-belief is realizing that you and only you are in charge of your own success. You are in charge of your destiny. Okay? So once you've got the right attitude, then you can move forward. And the next part of this is to not be afraid of failure. So many people think, Julie, but gosh, what if I fail? And I'm here to tell you, so freaking what, right? At least you can say you tried, which is way more than so many others could say. I would say way more than most others can say. Remember, it's better to try and fail than to never try at all. You'll never know if you can succeed at whatever it is you're trying to do if you don't try. When we allow our fear to stop our progress, we miss out on some amazing opportunities along the way. So what can you do to overcome this fear of failure? Well, for starters, you can try and flipping the narrative in your head, changing your focus. For example, instead of thinking, what if I fail? Because that's a self-limiting belief. What if you think, what if I succeed? Immediately, your brain goes to a different area. Your heart goes to a different area. Try also focusing on things that you have been successful with in the past. Focus on your accomplishments. Get into the right headspace to move forward. Once you're there, then you can visualize success for your future. Okay? So flip the narrative. Instead of what if I fail, it's what if I succeed. Visualize success. There's so much to be said for that mindset shift. All right. And then you can go forward and set goals for yourself. Now, these need to be realistic. These need to be obtainable goals. Sure, you can have these overarching umbrella, really huge goals, but they're going to seem pretty intimidating, right? And we may never get to them if they are that big. So break them down into smaller chunks that will make them easier to tackle, make them less scary, right? Because every small step that you take, every small change that you make will lead up to bigger ones in the end. You can use this tactic to build momentum, again, whether in your personal life or professional life. But it's important to remember too, to be patient with yourself. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So allow yourself some grace. Big things are not achieved overnight. Big things are achieved one small step at a time. So break down your goals into small obtainable steps so you can get to where you want to be, so you can achieve your goals. And if you do fail, well, here's the silver lining. Here's the positive out of all of this, is that at least you'll learn something from the experience. Think to yourself, what lessons can I take away from this experience? What building blocks can I acquire for the next time? All is not lost. You can certainly apply those lessons to future situations so you can do things better, bigger, what have you, in the future. The key is to be resilient, to be determined, to be unwavered. We must take chances, even at the risk of failure, even if that means trying things a new or different way, even if that means asking for help. Okay, so you've got the right attitude. Now you're not afraid of failure. Next step is to own what makes you different. Whatever that means to you. Does your difference, is it in your race, your ethnicity, your religion, your gender, your sexuality, your disability, what have you? And it doesn't even have to be something like that. It could be, you've got a big personality. It could be the style of clothes you wear or the color in your hair, okay? Even if you live a different lifestyle, anything that's outside of the status quo that could be perceived by others, if not yourself, as being different, okay? Which, if you think about it, each and every one of us on the planet is different in our own right. We are all different from one another. And quite frankly, I find anyway, that to be an incredibly beautiful thing. As kids, how many of you just wanted to fit in? Sure, I was one of them, had to wear the right clothes, had to do the right things. But why is that? Is that what was ingrained in us from such a young age? That we were supposed to not make waves, that we were supposed to stand out because it distracts others? I think back to, some of these schools with their dress codes, and a lot of them say, you can't have special colors in your hair. You can only have natural colors in your hair. Why is that such a big distraction? No, thank you. I mean, obviously I'm not in school anymore, so that does not apply to me, but seriously, why would you just want to be like everyone else? Why would you want to be normal? Guys, it is okay to be different. It can even be advantageous. We actually use this tactic in the advertising and marketing world. It's called a USP. Okay, that's an acronym for unique selling proposition, or you may also hear it as unique selling point, the USP. And what it is essentially what makes you, your product, your service, your company, your business, whatever it is you're doing, whatever we're advertising for you, what is it that makes you different from your competition? Different/better. Okay, now I'll ask this of my clients and my copywriting clients every so often, and inevitably I will get some overarching perspective. Oh, we have the best customer service around. Okay, anybody can say that. How can you claim that to be true? And that's when we really start doing a deep dive. So if you're looking at yourself and you're like, Julie, I don't know of anything that's different about me, there is definitely something different about you. Just do a little bit of a deeper dive and figure out what it is that makes you different/better than everybody else around you. For me, my USP is my personality. And I play that up in my personal life and in my business. People know, my clients know that then when they work with me, we're going to have a good time. It's going to be fun. Okay. I play that up in my clothing and my brand and the colors on my presentation here, right? There's always something there. There's always a USP. There's always something that makes you, your product, your service, your company, whatever it is, makes you different. And once we find it in the advertising world, we highlight it. We promote the heck out of it because That's what people remember. And that's what sells at the end of the day. That's what helps companies find success. So if it works in advertising, that begs the question, why aren't we doing that in our own lives? People are memorable because they are different. People who don't fit in are the ones who make the world much more interesting. Don't be afraid to be that person. What's that old adage though? Why blend in when you were born to stand out? Yes, 100% yes. Be your own person. Do what makes sense to you. Follow your interests, own your style, own your opinions, and never ever apologize for who you are. As long as you're not hurting anyone or anything, as long as you're not breaking any rules or laws or company policies, go ahead and embrace your differences. Why not? Okay, now I realize that some of the stuff that I'm covering today is easier said than done. I understand that. But try, if you will, try to implement some of these things by taking baby steps one at a time. This particular concept of owning what makes you different can be a little bit easier if you have a good support system. If you keep good company around you, if you surround yourself with, let's say, other different people, if you surround yourself with positive, accepting people, if you surround yourself with people who can help you get into the right headspace so that you can own what makes you different. Conversely, that said, if you can, try to rid or distance yourself from any negative people or influences, anything that's toxic to your mindset or anything that could potentially hold you back from achieving your dreams. Remember that other people's opinion is just that, an opinion. It's not a fact. And when you stop caring about what other people think, that's really when you start being yourself. That's really when you start living. So many people are so concerned about what other people think, and they get hung up on that. And in doing so, in the process, they forget who they are and what they want to do with their lives, what they want to achieve with their careers. Don't worry about anybody else. You'll never be able to please everyone, so stop trying. Instead, focus on becoming the very best version of yourself. Learn to be true to yourself. Give yourself permission to be unique. Embrace your differences and live a happy life. Okay? All right. So once you have owned what makes you different, next up is to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, even if no one else does. Even if no one else is clapping for you along the way. It is up to you to be your biggest fan. It is up to you to be your biggest cheerleader. It is up to you to back yourself, to push yourself forward. It's hard though, because we are our own harshest critics, right? And that's why it's important to practice self-love. Offer yourself some grace. Maybe you make a mistake. Maybe you fail. Okay, pick yourself up and start again. Okay. Let go of perfection. Not everything has to be perfect. Sometimes it just needs to get done, right? Maybe you're cleaning the house. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to get done. If you want to apply it to the personal side of things, reframe your negative thoughts. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Think, what can I learn from this experience? How can I make myself better and move forward in the future? What did I learn from this? And last but not least, be true to yourself. That's all part of self-love. Now, in the same vein, it's also important to practice self-care, to establish boundaries, to create healthy routines. And when I say healthy routines, I do mean by way of sleeping and eating and exercising. I know, bad words. No one wants to hear that. I get it. Yet, whether we realize it or not, every single one of those things affects our mindset. It affects our brains. It affects our thoughts, our processes, and our mental well-being. So the more that you can take care of yourself, the better mindset you will be in, moving forward. So get into the right frame of mind and encourage yourself to believe in yourself. Get to a point where you're not afraid to speak up. Get to a point where you are more apt to share what you have to offer. Get to a point where you can live by your own code. And get to a point where you are living a happy life of authenticity. Okay, last up on the leaderboard is know that you deserve a seat at the table. It is often said that the happiest people are out there evaluating and improving themselves, while the unhappiest people are out there usually evaluating and judging others. And why do they do that? Why do other people do that? Why do we do that? It's usually because they're afraid of something. They're threatened by you. They're jealous. Maybe they don't like your differences, or maybe they're fearful themselves. Don't allow other people's fears to cast any shadows of doubt on you. Judging, negativity, bullying even, they're all reflective of other people, not you. Think to yourself, they don't like me, that's their problem. It's not my problem. Okay, there's plenty of other people out there who do like me. Again, whether personally or professionally, this can go either way. What other people think isn't any of your business whatsoever. Let them judge you, let them misunderstand you, let them gossip about you. That's on them. You stay kind and committed to peace and being free in your authenticity. You lay your head down on your pillow at night, knowing that you're doing the best that you can do with the best of intentions, hopefully with the best of intentions. But don't let others write your story for you. You are the author of your own life, of your own destiny, your own career path. You are the one who gets to write the story. Don't let other people get comfortable disrespecting you. Create those boundaries and stick to them. Remember, your value is not at all contingent upon being liked. So stop with the people pleasing and start with pleasing yourself. It's okay to walk away from anyone or anything that threatens your peace. And sometimes it's advantageous to do so. Think to yourself, what is it that you want? What is it that you want to do? This is your life. Go live it the way you want to. Don't let anyone or anything hold you back. Because when you're clear on what you want and you say no to anything and everything that doesn't align with your goals, that's when it's hard to not be happy. That's when it's hard to not appreciate yourself. And that's when it's hard to not be successful. So I realize that much of what I'm sharing here today is nothing new. You've probably seen or heard these things before, whether seeing them on social media, on posters, on memes, or even self-help articles. Yet, as many times as we may see these things or have heard these things, how many of us have actually implemented those mindset shifts? How many of us have actually put them into play? Folks, that stops today. Today is a new day. Today, we get into the mindset for success. Success in life, success in work. Okay, so going forward, that all said, I want to encourage you with 3 last thoughts. One of which is to be bold. Remember that you have value. You just have to get into the right mindset. Give yourself permission to live the life the way you want to. Give yourself permission to succeed, to fail, to be yourself, to be happy, to be sad, to feel all the feels that come along with the territory of achieving your full potential and with living a fulfilled life. Okay? Take care of yourself. Practice that self-love. Practice that self-care. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there. What's the worst that can happen? You can fail. People can judge you. Big deal. All that matters is what you think. Okay? Be open and honest about who you are, how you feel. Distance yourself from anybody who's negative or anybody who offers unhelpful criticism. anyone who's negative about anything and everything that you do. You no longer want to be the person who just sits back and watches things happen. You want to be the person who makes things happen. Step into whom you were meant to be. Stop playing small, friends. You are meant for much greater things. Okay, that's be bold. Next up is to be brave. I want you to spread your wings and fly. Not everybody may be able to handle you. And honestly, that's a blessing in disguise. You may not be everyone's cup of tea, but wouldn't you rather be someone's shot of tequila or whiskey or whatever it is your vice is, right? Whatever floats your boat. So go ahead, follow your intuition, face your fears head on, get out of your comfort zone and embrace the magic that lies there. Because you know what? Nothing good ever comes from staying in comfort zones. You won't get anywhere by doing what you're used to doing. Success lies beyond what we're comfortable in. We achieve our goals by stretching our minds, our capabilities, our skills. So don't be afraid of change. Again, flip the narrative. Be excited of the possibilities instead. Go ahead, stand up for the truth, stand up for what you believe to be right, lead with intention, and take risks so at least you will have some sort of chance of achieving success. And last, I want you to be badass. Badassery comes from within. You have got to believe in yourself. You've got to be strong, confident, and bold. You've got to know your own mind and start living your life the way you want to. You've got to embrace honesty and transparency and authenticity. Speak your truth, even when it's difficult. Stick to your purpose, your dreams, the path that you desire. Again, whether personally or professionally. Find that internal determination, that perseverance, that resilience. Get motivated, get inspired, change yourself from within. Because only you can do this. And once you do, you'll discover newfound strength, newfound confidence, and earned respect. Stop caring about what other people think. The world is already full of people who follow the status quo. Yet it's the ones who change the world who don't care what the status quo is. Be the ones who change the world with the right mindset for success. Thank you very much for joining me today. Feel free to stay in touch with me. You can follow me on social media for even more badassery and mindset tips at KC Copy Diva, or you can get in touch with me through my website at juliecortez.com. Do we have any questions or comments from the gallery here?
Awesome presentation, Julie. Just absolutely fantastic. And I was not on video so you couldn't see me, but I was grinning from ear to ear your whole presentation and fast and furiously jotting down notes. So very inspiring. Really appreciate you spending time with us this afternoon. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I want to open it up at this time. Anyone who's on the call, feel free to pipe up and ask any questions while we have Julie. We've got a little bit more time here. I see a first comment. Love, love, love it. Fabulous job. Thanks. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to pause and see if we've got any questions from folks on the line. Well, I'll go ahead and throw one out there to you, Julie. So, when you start to feel yourself wavering, we all have those moments, right, where something happens and maybe our confidence starts wavering a bit. What do you do, or what advice would you give to someone to boost your confidence back up, right? When we start to get into those places where we start self-doubting and maybe we're not giving ourselves the self-love that we should be.
Sure. So there's a few different things that you can do. One of which is when you feel yourself getting nervous, you want to redirect that energy. Sometimes we find ourselves like our hands will shake or our knees will bounce if we're sitting down, right? And you can redirect that energy, provided that you're standing or sitting somewhere, through the floor. If you take your big toe and you press it into the floor and you focus on that and only that, that's where you're going to direct the energy, and it will help calm your nerves and help you get on a little bit better with that. And Tiffany, remind me, what was the second part of your question? I had a good answer for it.
Well, I just wanted to see what advice you had, when we start wavering a bit and we're not giving ourselves the self-love that we should be, because we all know that we get to those points where we start to neglect ourselves a bit. So what advice would you give in that scenario?
Right. Absolutely. Well, I feel like, all of that is there's so much truth to that. I would carve out as much time as you can to make sure that exercise, whatever that looks like to you, taking a walk around the block with your dog, whatever, making that a priority, boosting that up in your list, making sure that you are eating healthy and that you are getting the proper amount of sleep. I can't tell you how much my life has changed ever since I am now making sure that I get at least 8 hours of sleep a night. It does wonders for your brain. Exercise does wonders for your brain because it releases all of these endorphins. And there's like this chemical response that's going on. If you're about to go into a presentation, if you're about to go into some sort of conference or anything where you need to present and you feel nervous, aside from the fact that you can push through your toe and send that energy through the toe, another trick that you can do is, and maybe you all have heard of these, like power poses. All right. There's one called a Wonder Woman pose. And personally, I love this. You may feel so stupid doing it, but if nobody sees you but yourself, who cares? Right. So you can go stand in front of a mirror, you can stand in front of your camera, what have you. And just for like 2 minutes before you get on camera or walk into whatever it is, maybe you're in person now, walk into a conference room and you stand there with your hands on your hips, like Wonder Woman. I don't know if you can see me like that. Right. And you stand there for just 2 minutes. And there's something about opening up the chest and looking up and looking outward. And somehow it just gives you this added boost of confidence, which is just so amazing. And that's been my go-to for quite some time.
That's awesome advice. Awesome advice. We do have a question in the chat. So what advice would you give to a young lady or a teen that wants to make a change and allow herself to open up, but doesn't have the confidence?
Well, again, I feel like having a strong support system is really important, finding that safe place where you can go and you can discuss these things. And I feel like, if you want to be more open, if you want to live a more authentic life, start small, right? Maybe you tell one person, maybe it's your best friend, and you tell them in confidence, and then maybe you tell 2 people, and then you tell 3 people. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. So again, just kind of like those goals that seem unattainable because they're so gigantic, maybe you just break things down into smaller pieces. Maybe you don't have to share everything of who you are all at once. Maybe you just, do things in smaller chunks. Maybe you tell people things in smaller chunks. Maybe you start changing your appearance in smaller chunks, right? Funny story, many years ago, I had a gentleman come up to me in my industry, and he says, Julie, if you did not look the part of a creative, I would not hire you because I would not think that you're creative. And I'm like, oh, isn't that great? So my outward appearance matches my internal self. And guess what? That's going to help me get jobs. And I'm living a true, authentic life. It's not that I set out to look the creative type or the artistic type. This is just who I am. And this is how I express myself. So I would say, yes, just start small. And the more you do it, the easier it gets.
All great advice. All right, so we've got another question in the chat. How do you know when you need to listen and take into consideration what someone is telling you? I respect what you're saying about self-care and being positive about yourself, but at work, there are times that we need to accept feedback and make a change. So how do you tell if you need to tune out or take action?
Huh. Excellent question. And I don't know if I have the perfect answer for that. I feel like all feedback is important, whether it's negative or positive, but I would also consider the source, right? If it's somebody who has good intentions, if it's somebody who's trying to help you get ahead, then, consider, is it feedback? Is it criticism? Is it constructive criticism? Like there's so many different variables here, right? If it's something that maybe the person just doesn't know how to present it in a kind way, but they have good intentions, right? Maybe they just come across a little too blunt, but maybe you can like step back and be like, all right, they're a blunt person. They don't know how to sugarcoat these things. But what can I take away from this? What can I learn from this? Because I feel like there are learning opportunities in every single situation. Now, to be fair, yes, there are some people you need to tune out, whether in your personal life or in your professional life, right? I think it just depends on the person. It depends on the situation. It depends on where they stand on the ladder of leadership. Is it somebody who you have to listen to or not? I don't know your particular situation, but I would say every situation is going to be different. But again, try and flip the narrative, see what you can learn from it, see what you can take away from it. And if all else fails, you can always say, thank you so much for sharing your opinion. You don't have to take it. You don't have to take their advice, right? You just don't.
All right. Any more? I don't see any more questions in the chat. Are there any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Any good self-care ideas that don't cost money? Trips to Target by myself are getting expensive. I love that. Yes, retail therapy is amazing, right? Self-care. Personally, I love dancing. And that doesn't really cost money, especially now in the middle of a pandemic. You won't find me in a crowded bar or club or anything like that. But you could still, like maybe when nobody's home, you could still turn on the stereo really loud, crank up some tunes and dance while you're doing housework, or just have your own little dance party. Why not? I try to incorporate dance into my exercise routine. I'm a big proponent of jazzercise, quite honestly. And so again, even with the pandemic, you can go and do classes in person, or you can stream them online. And it's kind of like just having a little dance party with your girlfriends. That does not cost anything, right? You can totally do that and get where you want to be, get in the right mindset, get those endorphins going, get that self-care to take part of yourself. Trips to Target. I love that. Target. You got to say it right. How do you spell that? Put a little accent mark over the E, maybe. I'm not sure. Anything else?
I don't see anything else in the chat feed. I'll give it just another moment.
I was going to say, I'm also available, you all, if you need tips for working from home right now. I've been working from home for over 20 years. So I've got all the best tips and tricks, anything from make sure you set a schedule for yourself, make sure you get up in the morning, you make your bed, you get dressed for work, you put on your makeup, you do your hair, whatever it is that you do. Like all of these things affect your mindset, right? All of these things, YouTube yoga, yes, perfect. But all of these things affect your mindset, because when you look good, you feel good, and then you feel ready for the day. You feel ready to take on whatever challenges may come your way, right? There's a lot of different things you can do. So feel free to reach out to me later if you have questions about that too. And I also have a YouTube channel with some of those things on there too. You could go spy out as well. Your office would make me happy. Thank you. I'm branded. You notice that?
Hey, Julie, can you give us some tips on staying motivated?
Sure. Well, for me, because I'm self-employed, money is a huge motivating factor. So figuring out what it is that drives you each and every day. Is it paying your bills? Is it taking care of your family? Is it moving up the career ladder? What is it that drives you? There's a term out there called why. What is your why? There's a gentleman, you can look him up on YouTube. His name is Simon Sinek, and he's got this whole shtick about finding your why and using it to motivate you. And essentially, you use this circle of figuring out what it is you do, for whom, and why you do it. Right. So if somebody asked me, for instance, why do you work in advertising? And my answer would be because we are inundated left and right as consumers. We're inundated with bad advertising. And growing up, I was the kid who would record the Super Bowl so I could fast forward through football just to watch the commercials, because the commercials were awesome. Right. And so I think to myself, gosh, if consumers out there are being inundated with all sorts of sales messages, advertising and marketing messages left and right, don't we at least owe it to them to entertain them somewhat? And so I set out on this mission to be an entertaining advertising copywriter, and here I am today. So that's my why. My why for why I teach, speak, coach, and do all the things about self-employment is because, I don't know about you guys, but when I went to school, I studied my craft. I studied whatever my major was. Like, I did not take business classes because they weren't required, and nor did I ever think that I would need them. And then lo and behold, especially on the creative side of things, so many of us end up out on our own, whether by choice or by default, and we have to know how to run a business. And so that's what fuels my passion there. So my suggestion to you is to figure out what fuels your passion and write it down. Put it in front of you, or maybe on a sticky note where you can see it every single day, and remind yourself of that to get back into the mode of being motivated so you can further achieve your goals and dreams. Sometimes I feel like I lose motivation, not because I'm working from home, but because it seems like some folks are not as willing to be a part of a team. Good point. Or getting things done. Yeah, I understand that. I'm actually the president of a board of directors for my organization. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who cares. But I know I'm making a difference. I know I'm affecting other people's lives. And in the long run, I feel like that's what's most important. I'm doing what's best for me. I'm doing what's best for everyone else. If I can help lead by example, if I can accept the example, if I can help motivate others with my passion and with my desire to succeed, then maybe there's a chance that that will rub off on some other people. Does that make sense?
So I just have a real quick question.
Yeah.
How do you achieve a balance between not caring what other people think and still maintaining that approachability, that team player kind of attitude, I guess? If you don't have come off as being cold-hearted, if people continue to give you feedback that you're not taking or changing, how do you maintain that balance between not being, for lack of a better word, a snob and
right? No, excellent question. And you're absolutely right. There is a fine balance. It's not necessarily don't care what other people think. I think it's more of don't let it affect you as much, because just by human nature, we do care what other people think. I think there's a fine line there, sure. Let's say Betty Sue, who works next to you, she's in this conference room with you, and she's just being super negative, and you just can't handle it. And you're like, all right, Betty, you're having a bad day. I don't know what's going on with your life. You don't have to say this out loud, but you can reframe it in your mind, right? All right, Betty, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you're having a bad day here, but I'm not going to let your attitude affect me. So again, look for the criticisms, look through the negativity, and see if you can find anything positive there. Again, remember who it's coming from. If it's coming from your boss, that's a different story. That is something that you should definitely pay attention to. I think too, maybe your boss has, if your boss has some opinion of you that maybe you don't necessarily agree with, use that as motivation to prove them wrong. So often, even in our personal lives, we grow up and many of us are like, oh man, I will never be able to please insert whoever it is, my spouse, my partner, my boss, my parents, my children, whatever, I will never be enough for them. And I think at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter what they think. It's what you think. Are you enough for yourself, right? Are you successful? Are you happy? Are you living an authentic life? Are you doing the best that you very can, right? And if that's the case, then you can lay your pillow down at night knowing that you're doing the best that you can. And that's when you can shove those other opinions out the door. Okay, if you want to be negative, if you don't want to enjoy my life, if you don't want to be part of my successes, my trials, my tribulations, all of my awards, recognition, whatever's going on, that's on you. But I'm going to move forward and lead a life that's happy and joyous and intentional, without letting that affect me. Does that make sense? I think there's a difference of who it's coming from and how we can let it affect. Yeah, again, you don't have to be, what was the word that you used? Pompous or cocky or whatever. You don't have to be that person. You know, you can simply say, again, you can simply say, thank you for your feedback.
Thank
I'll
you.
take it in, right? I'll take it into consideration. Was that good, Laura?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Any more questions from the audience? I don't see anything new in the chat feed.
Yes, very much a balance between confidence and arrogance, 100%. It's that belief in yourself as opposed to thinking that you know it all, right? Or you're the expert on everything. There's definitely a balance between there. And it's okay to be confident. It's not necessarily okay to be arrogant, right? Anything else? Tiffany, you got anything on your end?
I don't see anything else. There's a comment that just came in. This has been great. Love your energy. Ditto to that, Julie. So on behalf of Evergy and the We Network, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us this afternoon. We absolutely enjoyed hearing from you and just really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us this afternoon. So thank you.
You are very welcome. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, with that, that concludes this afternoon's Inspiring Conversations event. We did record this session, so it will be available for you to go back out and check the replay, and Julie's information will be in there as well. So thanks all for joining this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.